Sweet. Hey everybody, Meathead Moto back with you another video to pump up your day with some motorcycle content. We're actually still out at the demo rides, and I'm now on the new 2022 Harley Davidson Nightster 975cc Revolution Max motor. This is actually really nice. I kind of like it. I can see this having as a second bike. I mean, I haven't even really ridden it, but it's got Brembos on the front, Showa suspension, right? I'm excited. It's been first time I've been on such a small bike in a long time. Ooh, wow. Mirrors are actually useful to me. When you got bars this low, I prefer having bar end mirrors, because at least then you don't just see shoulder, you actually do see. It's got some clack to it. This one's got some valve noise compared to like the Pan America. But anyway, I like the bar ends because you can actually like see behind you instead of just seeing shoulder, especially on bars that are this low and you're in this kind of sportier position. This does remind me a lot of a sport bike, a really low slung seat sport bike. Suspension feels pretty good so far just sitting here, but time will tell what it actually feels like. I think, is getting used to a hydraulic clutch. Now, this thing's got some clack to it. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but obviously, you know, it's no warning light, so obviously it's gotta be working like it should, right? Nobody coming. Let's go. Ooh. Not a lot of lean angle. I just scraped the bottom of my foot. That's kind of surprising, because I feel like this bike should have quite a bit more lean angle than that. It is nimble though, I will say. But my Road Glide's got more lean angle than that. Oh, she's fast though. Definitely, so far what I'm getting from this bike is it's a good ripper for the city. Like if I was gonna ride, if I lived like downtown, even in here in Sioux Falls, this would be a fun bike to go and rip around the city streets on. Suspension feels pretty good. That was pretty manageable. It didn't bottom it out by any means. But as like being able that I just scraped the bottom of my shoe on the ground while leaning through that corner kind of makes me feel like that this bike was definitely meant to be a city brawler. Versus actually like doing a lot of like around the town. It's meant to go around town versus say go across the country or even like on back roads outside of the town, because guarantee you this has probably got about a 3-gallon tank on it. The seating position is pretty nice though, but the way the foot pegs are set, you definitely don't have a lot of lean angle with the way that this suspension is. So the only way I think you'd get more lean angle would be to upgrade the suspension, get a little bit taller suspension on it, so that way you could definitely throw it over into a corner further. But the way it is right now, I feel like this bike was designed to be, oh, I'm gonna go hop around town and go and, well, you didn't even feel that pothole. I went and braced for it, just whoop right over it. Granted, I think that you could get over the lean angle thing if you're like going through a corner. Just put the ball of your foot up on the peg. A lot of wind on my chest with this bearing on or this little speed screen on this bike. Put my feet up on the pegs this time. Woo! Try to run away, CVO, I dare ya. There's the power band. The power band. It's not a typical Harley, and that's the thing that I've noticed with the Pan America too, is unlike the M8, the twin cam, the Evo, all the power on those bikes is really down low in the RPM, and you don't really rev it out to get power. The thing about the Pan America and this new Nightster, and I believe the Sportster S now, is that you gotta rev it. You gotta just let it run, and you'll really feel the power kick on. And I mean, that's just, it's going to tailor a little bit different type of riding style than most of the guys that are Harley Davidson riders are going to be used to. And I think that's the positive side, is that like you have that Pan America that allows you to really rev out the bike. And same with the Nightster and the Sportster S. But if you're the type of person that likes to live in the lower RPMs and cruise, you got the M8, which still produces a significant amount of power, and then with a little bit of tweaking with a cam, an exhaust, and a tune, all of a sudden you have a really good bike that has power up at the top and at the bottom. So there's positives and negatives to both of them, but this bike is definitely meant for the guy that's brawling around the city streets and wants to just rip it open, maybe stay in the lower gears and like first and second and really be up in those RPM ranges. And then all of a sudden you're trip A, trip B, remaining. I want RPMs if you have it. RPM, there we go. Yeah, see, 3600, I'm not even in the power band on this bike. Yeah, it comes on like right around that 4,000 RPMs, 45. It starts to really pick up. And then all of a sudden it's like, here we go. Suspension is comfortable though over these bumps. It's not too soft, but it's not too stiff either. It's pretty well balanced, I'd say. I didn't mean to slingshot people. I'm sorry. Here's going to be the test over this bump here on this railroad track. I'm not going to stand up, so it's just going to be straight up how the suspension feels over this bump. Ooh, that brake feels good. Nothing. Yeah, right above 5,000 RPMs, that's when it really starts getting happy, and it's like, let's go, boys. Cruising, though, does feel pretty decent. By all means, it's not something that I would want to take, you know, 100 miles or so. I feel like the seat after a while would definitely get a little bit tiresome. Your butt would get tired. But as far as like going around town or going from A to B, going to work and whatnot, like this would be a really fun bike. Real good ripper. I bet you it gets pretty decent gas mileage too. Couldn't really tell you that off the top of my head, or like what the, I could throw up what Harley says the EPA range is and what the mileage is, but what they say the range and mileage is going to be different from what it is in real life. So there's that. This definitely reminds me a lot more of like the FTR or the Scout, but this definitely feels like it's got more punch than the Scout does. Even at 975 cc's, and this again maybe is the fact that when I rode the Scout, I'd never really got the impression that it had a lot of power, but I could have been in just the wrong RPMs. But like this, when you get up in the RPMs on this bike and this motor, it definitely starts to feel like it wants to pull you off the seat and it's going to eat your ass out on the rear tire. Yeah, once you get above 6,000, that's when things are real. Oh man, this is just, it's not, you have no sense of how powerful this motor is unless you can really let it rev out. God, that's crazy. But Harley Davidson definitely knocked it out of the park with this Revolution Max motor. Even at 975 cc's, this makes the Sportster lineup feel like sporty. Because the old Evo motor, it needs some work when you want to make power, but like this motor, you don't need anything. And I can't imagine once you get like a pipe and a good tune on it, it's just a monster. And that's why I think that the Pan America is a great bike too, because it has the capability that when you rev it out, it'll definitely feel like a powerhouse. Now, would I see owning this bike as my primary bike? For me, no. I think the person that would own this bike as the primary mode of transportation, or their only bike, would be the person that lives in the city. But, you know, at $12,000, it's kind of hard to justify buying this bike. I'm glad to see that Harley Davidson did do a cheaper new Sportster Revolution Max bike, but it's not that much cheaper, so it's kind of, but like, yeah, so like at $12,000, it's really not that much cheaper than the Sportster S. So you kind of got to justify, you know, you get quite a bit more displacement, more power, and you get a better digital display. You know, I would move that. I would honestly, if I was going to be considering the Sportster S or this Nightster, I would honestly go with the Sportster S. But this does look more like this is just it's a pretty nice bike though. Still, I think that the Sportster S is a better value, but if you really are chumped for cash, you know, this would be the bike I would consider. Plenty of power, plenty of fun. Yeah, just the rev matching with this electronic throttle is very non-existent. It's very muted, and I have a hard time figuring out how much I need to give it to rev match. That's about my only complaint with both the Pan America and this Nightster, is that the electronic throttle control for this motor is just a little, yeah, you don't get it. So there's where it gets it. There's a turn before it even registers that you're applying throttle, which is, it makes it so muted. So when you're actually like trying to rev match, you have to like give it a lot of throttle just to get it to rev match. It does handle really well. Yeah, see, that's the thing about the throttle too, with the fact that it's got some give, is like it's always like instead of just nice and easy movement, where your throttle or your clutch control really comes into play versus throttle control. So alright guys, I think that's going to do it. Overall, I think this bike is really fun, but I don't see myself personally going to a Nightster. So hopefully you all enjoyed this little ride along on this demo ride, but until next time guys, I will be seeing you later. Neutral. Oh, that was actually really easy to find neutral. Sweet. Bloop. Yeah, overall, not a bad bike.